This has been a beautiful, beautiful life here in Wisconsin with all of you. And I wish Wisconsin the best of luck, because I think it's going to need it.
Ouch. Not the normal concession speech. That was Daniel Kelly after he got crushed in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. But we're not going to rehash all that again unless Ryan feels like it, because there's actually great news out there and great things happened that day in that state. Joining me now, somebody who's doing the work. You know, we talk about blocking and tackling on this show, local, school boards. Well, here's your guy to support. Ryan Girdusky has the 1776 Project PAC, and they're out there blocking and tackling. Ryan, what'd you guys do in Wisconsin?
So we won 24 school board races in Wisconsin in what wasn't a great night for Republican candidates, although conservatives won also 3 ballot measures that night. People don't really remember. They won a ballot measure over welfare, that people have to, able-bodied people have to work before they can get welfare, and then 2 on crime. And half of our candidates that ran for school board, we had some candidates we knew were not going to be able to win in places that are super, super far left. But we won even in Milwaukee County. We won a school board race. We won a lot in the suburban counties outside of Milwaukee. And I think it's really, really important that a lot of issues that still suburban voters look towards are issues like quality of life, crime, and education that I think Republicans really should be talking more about and championing.
Ryan, people are going to find it surprising that you have this PAC out there winning school board races. Haven't you heard there's a presidential election coming up? Why do you care about school board?
Well, 26 states have school board elections this year. Our next school board election we're getting involved with is actually in Texas, which is on May 6th. And then Iowa is in June. So there is no reason why people should not be getting involved this early on when we have a presidential election a year and a half away, considering the metrics to sit there and change a lot of what we've had about education in our local communities is up this year, and in some places within just a few weeks. I think it's really important that conservatives sit there and really talk about these things that suburban voters used to vote Republican on, and really speak about it in a very nuanced way. You know, we've gotten very distracted, and rightfully we've talked about the issues of like Drag Queen Story Hour and CRT, which are major issues. I'm not undermining them. But we also have generational learning loss. We've had, because of Democrats, because of Democrat mask mandates and Democrat shutdowns, we've had generational learning loss. We have, in public schools in this country, in parts of public schools in this country, we have extreme violence that needs to be addressed. I think that there is a lot of things that we need to sit there and focus on that are in a very broad and message I think a lot of suburban voters would care about.
Okay, so I'm confused, Ryan. I don't understand how the voter thinks or why things work out this way, but you do this work, so you explain it to me. You win all these races in Wisconsin, and Daniel Kelly gets his doors blown off in Wisconsin. So voters walked to the polls and they voted for the 1776 Project Conservative and then voted for the nutball communists to sit on their Supreme Court? Why?
So 80% of Wisconsin voters voted to have a workforce thing against welfare, and 67% voted against 2 hard crime bills to protect people, to not let criminals go without bail, and then voted for a Supreme Court judge who does support bail. People are very nuanced, and because 2 things really worked against us. Daniel Kelly had just run in 2020, and he lost by, guess what, the same exact percentage he lost this time. He was a very, very bad candidate. He raised no money. He raised $900,000, and the Democrat, Janet, and I can't pronounce her last name, but Janet, the Supreme Court judge elect, she raised $12 million. And the difference was we have a lot of PAC money, but PAC money doesn't go as far in purchasing ads as direct campaign donations do. So the 1776 Project, we don't do direct ad buys, we do mailers, because that is the same price no matter who pays for it. But in the direct ad space, if you do commercials and you do ads online, you get a lot more bang for your buck if you're the candidate than if you're the PAC. So we had a lot of PAC money. We had very, very little candidate money with a candidate who was not very good. And Janet ran on 2 very important issues that Democrats have really managed to sit there and corner everyone on: abortion and democracy. The idea that, you know, Kelly is like Trump. Trump is against democracy. and she's going to protect abortion rights in Wisconsin. And I think that since the overturning of Roe, a lot of conservatives in some corners of the country who have been very, very, very aggressive on saying they're promoting the most strict abortion laws really have soured the whole entire party in other regions of the country. And Daniel Kelly was very, very conservative on abortion, and he had a lot of other talking points that were very, very strange for a candidate to talk about. He was more of a pundit than a candidate.
Okay, let's dig into the abortion thing, because this is something, as you well know, I am super, super passionate about, mega pro-life, but I want to win races without sacrificing what I believe, and I won't sacrifice what I believe, but I want to win. You're good at this stuff, the messaging stuff, to the Republicans or potential Republicans running, and maybe to me. How is that messaged, although I'm not running for office?
So people gave someone a right. The Supreme Court gave a right to abortion for 60 years. And then all of a sudden one day that right doesn't exist anymore. It's very hard to take something away from somebody when they feel like it is a right. So that's the first thing running against us. And then when you dramatically change any law, whether it be Obamacare or Roe v. Wade, when you dramatically change something overnight, people have a natural pushback to it. It happens constantly in elections. So when states like Texas, for example, or now Florida and Georgia and Ohio have done the heartbeat bill or 6-week bans or 15-week bans, it is a dramatic change for a lot of people, and a lot of people have a natural pushback. You have a right, you don't have a right anymore. I think that what you should do, what the pro-life movement should be doing now, is in a lot of these purple states or bluish states or slightly red states, is sit there and do what they were doing pre-Roe. Sit there and start saying, okay, you cannot abort a child if it's viable in the womb. Start there. And maybe in a couple of years' time, you sit there and say, you know what, actually, we're going to go to 20 weeks. Actually, we're going to go to 15 weeks. No, we'll go to 12 weeks. You do that small chipping away, so it's like a frog boiling in water. So all of a sudden, they sit there and they don't realize anything's changed, because most people in this country don't actually get abortions. When you look at the poll of, where is your local abortion clinic, most people do not know. It is the idea of abortion that they are more, that women should have this right than the actual practice of that right. So it has to be a small incremental thing. We can't just open the doors and say, heartbeat bill nationwide, that's it, case closed. You're going to have a natural pushback.
Okay, now let's move to the second thing you brought up, democracy. Democracy being on the ballot. It's just so absurd, I can hardly say it, Ryan, without laughing, but it is something they run on, and it is something that motivates Democrats, because Democrats are insane people. How do we run against such an obscure topic that it doesn't even mean anything? How do we run against that?
I know, trust me, I know. I think when I first heard it, I literally laughed out loud. I was like, doesn't make any sense. This is not real. But the most important thing is not Democrats, it's independents. We've lost independents in 3 straight elections because of, in large part because of the issue of democracy and the threat of quote unquote democracy. I think it's ridiculous too. And here's the long and short of it. Donald Trump is toxic to the party. Donald Trump is toxic to independent voters. They just hate him. They just do. They hate him with an utter passion, and there's no way you get around it. And look at every single solitary opinion poll, look at every single result in every single election. Suburban voters that voted Republican for close to 60, 70 years do not like him. He is the idea of what a patriarchal, person would be, in the sense that he's the father who never loved you, the boss that wouldn't give you a promotion, and the husband who cheated on you. That's what he represents to a lot of suburban women, especially. And his message is just incredibly toxic to independent voters. And it's not his message, it's him as a person. They just don't like him. And being attached to him, the ego, the brashness, the idea that there's no even a humble brag. It's just there's no humbleness at all. There's no personalization around politics with him. They don't see him as Republicans see him, and attaching him to any Republican is just toxic to independent voters. And I don't know how you alleviate that whatsoever.
Man alive. That is sobering when it comes to our 2024 chances, but that's why I love you, brother. Thank you for giving us right between the eyes. Now, as I always do when you come on, I want people to support the blocking and the tackling, not the flashy wide receiver, the fat left tackle. That's how you win games. How do they support the 1776 Project PAC?
1776 Project PAC, PAC.com. We have elections coming May 6th in Texas. Texas school boards, especially the suburban areas around Dallas and Tarrant County, they are all up. This is a major chance to reform it, especially the places that have been fighting, places like South Lake, places like Carroll that have done the reforms and that the federal government is suing. All those school board members are now up for re-election, a lot of them. We need to support them and show them that their work is not going unnoticed.
1776 Project PAC. Everybody go support it. This is the work we talk about. Forget about that presidential race. Ryan, thank you, brother.
Thank you.